Mr. Secretary, it's good to see you again.
It's nice to be back at the Iowa State Fair.
You are not a native Iowan, just like me. So when was the first time you came here?
I think I came here as a state senator, so it would have been in the early 90s. I think maybe we may have brought our boys up perhaps one or two times before that, so that they had a state fair experience when they were kids, but really got into it when I became a state senator and really got into it when I became governor.
What's it like to campaign here?
It's great. You know, you see a lot of people. Sometimes you end up spending a lot of time shaking hands with somebody, and you find out they're from Nebraska. So it's, that's not so good. But it's a great state fair, and there are just so many good people here. They're having a good time. They're relaxed. And I've been to a lot of state fairs, and in the job I now have, and I would tell you, it's just, this is the best.
So is it different being here as Agriculture Secretary compared to being state senator?
It's a little bit different. When you're a state senator, you come at the state fair and you basically reconnect with some of your legislative friends that you haven't seen for a couple of months because the legislature left in April and now here it is August. As the Secretary of Agriculture, you come here and I think there's an expectation that you're talking more about policy. You know a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of what's going on in farm country, and there's an expectation that people, that you'll share that with them. And particularly this year, as difficult as it's been for farming across the country, there's, I think, a heightened expectation that you're going to respond to what are we doing about the drought.
Do you have a favorite state fair memory?
You know, there are several things that I enjoy. You know, I had a great relationship with Round Guy, Lou and Heather when they were working at KGGO. We'd go over and we'd always have a good time. I'd always buy one of the hats for their children's charity. It was great to see Jim Zabel. We'd be able to talk about Hawkeye football, and you know, he's an institution in Iowa, so that was always fun. You know, you do the same things that everyone does at the state fair. The butter cow. I mean, I will never forget the Last Supper. I mean, it was just sort of a phenomenal thing that somebody could actually create the Last Supper out of butter. The steer show that I participated in as governor, the charity steer show. It's always great to talk to the 4-H kids who were really proud of what they'd done. And that was actually really hard work because I had to do that, and also the Fair Queen was crowned the same day, back to back. So you'd be dressed up in a tuxedo 1 minute, and the next minute you'd be hauling around 1,300 pounds of a steer. So it was pretty interesting. You know, the thing I really enjoy is just walking around, just talking with folks. You know, you'll stop and you'll see somebody sitting on a bench and you'll strike up a conversation. You'll find out they're either from Iowa or they're not from Iowa. They'll have a story. They'll have a reason why they're at the state fair. You know, and just the pride of talking to the kids in the various places where they exhibit their crafts and their livestock. It's just it's a fabulous community oriented, and I think the best thing I've ever heard anybody say about the state fair was a young man the other day was saying, there's a romance about this place. There's a connection and a romance about it, and I think that's absolutely right. I think there's actually a loving relationship that Iowans have in particular with the state fair, and those who have experienced the state fair from outside say, well, geez, you know, this is how it feels back at our state fair. And I think part of it is because they've invested a lot of time and effort in improving the grounds and making facilities available and making some of them air conditioned, so if it's really hot, there's a place to go. The Industry Nap Building is a good example. So it's just a wonderful place.
Talk about the romance. What's the one thing that you love, the one thing you can't miss when you're here?
The pork chops. You know, I don't know what it is that they do to those pork chops when they cook them, but it is by far one of the best things I eat. And I just love to go to the dairy barn and have a milkshake. Those two things are absolutely critical. I mean, a lot of people look forward to the corn dogs. When I was a kid, I used to work at an amusement park, which my uncle owned, and I was the corn dog guy, so I made corn dogs. So I know a little bit about corn dogs, so that's why I navigate to the pork chop.
You know, we have a double bacon wrapped corn dog this year.
I stopped at the volunteers booth on the main concourse there, and I asked the volunteers, I said, what's the most frequently asked question? And they said, this year, the bacon wrapped corn dog. Where is it? And I said, no, seriously, what's the most? They said, no, seriously, this is the most frequently asked question. followed by where are the restaurants.
So are you going to go get a bacon wrapped corn dog this
You know,
trip?
I think I may, but I haven't had the pork chop yet, so I want to make sure I get the pork chop. And I haven't had the milkshake. Those are two things that absolutely have to happen. And then talking to folks earlier today, Connie Wozen has got this salad on a stick, and I think you gotta have to balance some of this stuff off. So maybe the salad on the stick.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Mr.
You
Secretary.
bet.
It's great to see you
Good
again.
to see you.
Yeah.